was responsible for setting this up today, especially my IT guy here, who makes me sound good. And hopefully. How many people were here last year? Almost every. How many new people? Oh, wow. Okay, great. How many people have never heard me speak before? Okay, so if you don't know where something is, just shout out, and I will be more specific, because I just assume people know where things were or are, and that's not always the case. This was supposed to be a then and now presentation, but I started rummaging through all my photos, and there was a lot more then, so there are a lot less now photos. And it's also a little, not to use the word mishmash of things. We're going to take a little tour through the village, and we're going to do a little jumping around. So if you don't know where something is or was, just let me know. Let's begin.
Lights?
Oh, lights, sir. How's that? Can everybody hear and see? Okay. This is an invitation to the 50th anniversary of the Goshen Board of Trade, which evolved into the Chamber of Commerce. This is Dr. Fred Seward, who was the doctor at the Inner Pines, which we'll get to later. He was born in Goshen in 1845 and died in Goshen in 1925. And he is the nephew of William Seward, who was Abraham Lincoln's Secretary of State. And more on him later. This is a painting I did back in the 70s. This was the weather vane that was on the Trotting Horse Museum that was stolen in January of 1973. And it was recovered in March of 1973, along with 25 other weather vanes that were stolen throughout the Hudson Valley. And in my younger days, I used to paint.
Ed, I'm sorry. I just want to play with the lights. You're too dark on the on the recording. I'm going to try and turn the side lights on so don't get distracted by it.
Thank you.
There we go.
Is that all right?
Is that all right?
Fine, with me.
Okay. Good. Much better.
Oh, I did forget something in here. Just to give you an idea of what the village was like in 1897, we had 4 bakeries, 5 barbers, 5 confectionery and fruit stores, 9 grocery stores, 4 drugstores, 12 hotels, 5 meat markets, 6 doctors, and 16 wine and liquor establishments. And then, by 1938, we had 5 barbers, 3 billiard parlors, 4 clothing stores, 5 candy and ice cream stores, 4 dentists, 3 drugstores, 3 dry goods stores, 6 gas stations, 12 grocery stores, 7 hotels, 15 lawyers, 9 restaurants, and 5 bars. So it was quite a thriving metropolis. And in recognition of the blizzard of 1888, which occurred on March 11th to March 13th, which was 136 years ago, this is West Main Street. An iconic picture of the village. This is where the pharmacy restaurant is. And when I was looking at this picture again, I was noticing the advertising right here. This is a pair of glasses, the watch. This was a jewelry store at the time. There was a restaurant in the basement, which is that ale sign right there. And the Independent Republican was upstairs. You can just see the lettering right there. And this was the building that preceded the Howells building, which was recently a vegan restaurant, and the Presbyterian Church in the background. And this little guy sitting here. And I think there was like 5 feet of snow in the blizzard of '88. I'm not sure how much Goshen got, but that's quite a considerable amount of snow. And here's another shot. This is the one of my favorites because they're all, nobody ever dressed like it was winter. I don't get it, but they, and everyone had a hat on. And this was the Occidental Hotel before it was renovated. These are the square columns. They were replaced by round columns, and the third floor was raised to put in larger windows. And this was there until 1983, I believe. There was a fire, and then it was demolished. This is Market Street, what used to be Market Street, which is now a restaurant park here, I guess you'd call it. This is where Craft 47 is. This was the Sturt's Hotel, which later became the post office after the St. Elmo Hotel burnt, which we'll get to, in 1920. And as you can see, here's the cigar store Indian, and just a great picture. And then these are some Goshen residents sitting in front of the cigar store, and this is the cigar store Indian. I always wondered what happened to it. And these guys are unidentified. I love the haircut on so that really touched boy hair. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy. I think it's a boy, but okay. This is which someone asked me where the railroad tracks were, which prompted all these photos that you're going to see at the railroad station, because I couldn't believe that no one knew where the railroad tracks were. But this is the police, which is the police station today, which was built in the 1860s. It was the second train station we had. There was a wooden one in 1841 when the railroad came to start originated in Goshen, and then it was replaced by this brick one. This is the St. Elmo. Whoops, sorry, wrong button. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way here. Oh, wait a minute. Technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. This is the St. Elmo Hotel, which was there from the 1880s until 1920. February 2nd, it burnt, which we'll have pictures of the fire. These are the tracks that ran right through Goshen. A lot of tracks, yes.
Those tracks were Erie and Lehigh and Hudson River.
We have our railroad expert over here. Thank you. This, and I included this because when you count, there are, I think I counted 11, how many people? 11 people. 11 people, and then this is a horse and sulky back here. There's a barber shop here, the guy's sitting in the window. This is a man on a bicycle that's in blurred, which I think is great. It's like a ghost riding down the street. And then there's people over here under the St. Elmo awning here. There's people back here. And this is what it looks like today. And this is the tracks looking east. And when you're trying to date a photograph, you look for clues. And this picture happens to have a few of them. One is, this is the cupola that was on the Goshen movie theater, which was built in 1939. Over here is the gatehouse for the railroad, which was demolished in 1952. And this was Samuel's clothing store, which was there from 1898 or so to 1942. So, you can tell from that. I assume this picture is probably from the early 1940s. And the old cars here. This is a train at the station, supposedly from 1886. This old steam locomotive. And this is a picture of this station from the end with the shoe shine stand. a horse, and notice there's no curbs. The station's right at ground level.
Are you taking questions, or do you want me to?
You can take questions.
I'm sorry, it just got the better of me. The Wells Fargo there, what is the nature of that? Like, what exactly service is that?
I imagine that was a telegraph.
A telegraph? Okay.
I don't know, our railroad expert might know better than I.
It could be telegraph, they could have a Wells Fargo drop-off.
Yeah, well, they did have platforms. When the train went through, they would drop the mail off and keep going.
And one other thing, if I can,
Sure.
I want to take over where the White House is on the right. That's where the trolley stopped.
Right here. This was the trolley station, it was right there. This is a vacant lot now, this house is gone. This is Grand Street over here. And another blurry woman walking over here. This is the interior of the station. I remember this. I remember sitting in those benches there. And the ticket window was over here, I think, or over here. I think it's on this wall. And then this is Mr. Bogardus' meat market vehicle. I have never found where Mr. Bogardus was from, where his store was. I'm assuming he might have been from Middletown, but I've never found anything in Goshen about him. This is the St. Elmo behind. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Which way am I going here?
You want to go left pointing. There you
There
are.
we go. Okay, gotcha. And there's the train station over there. But he must have been rather successful to afford a vehicle like this in 1912. So
Wow.
if anybody wants to do a homework assignment, let me know where Mr. Bogardus is from. And then this is a photo of the ruins of the St. Elmo after 1920. And the ruins supposedly stayed there for a number of years before they knocked them down. This photo was taken from a coal chute that was right next to the station. It was quite a high structure. But there's all these little, you get to see all these storefronts over here. This is the Samuels, the clothing store when it was in business. And there's a lot of people in this photograph too. There's a guy here, there's a guy walking down the street over here, there's people standing right here next to the thing, next to the station. And I think there's folks over here actually by the ruins. There's a guy back here. It's great. That's one of the great things of being able to have these on computers, because you can blow everything up and get a lot more detail that you normally wouldn't see. And all the advertising on the walls here. Really hasn't changed much though. And then this is what a train actually looked like going across West Main Street. And then this at the time was Rosen's Variety Store. This used to be way back when it was Potter's Variety Store, which was like a 5 and 10. It later became a tavern, and there was a butcher shop next door. Lawrence's Butcher Shop was here. And this is an Erie train just going across West Main Street. And then this is after they tore the tracks up in the 1980s. I think it was like around 1983. Kind of a sad picture, I think, but that's what it looked like. And this was the Union House, a Union Hotel, and it was very popular around the 1880s. This is West Main Street. West Main Street here. This is New Street right here. And this was Catherine's, where Catherine's restaurant is. This was right next door to it. And then it became the Arlington Hotel in the 1920s and 1930s. But quite a popular place. And you get to see how people just, there it is today, or recently, this isn't today, but.
Is it built onto, you mean?
They added a third floor, yeah, and the porches are gone. And the porch was there, I have another photo of it, with a porch on in like the 1920s, 1930s. So the porch did last quite a while. And this is the aerial view. The aerial shots of the village are great because you get a lot of information from these. Let's start up here. This is the back of the jail that was attached to the 1841 courthouse on Main Street. And that's a really unusual shot because you never got to see what that side of the building looked like. This was the Occidental, excuse me, the Occidental. And over here, this is where Kennett's Gymnastics is now. This building right here in the middle was Sorosky's first business in Goshen. It was basically like an auto parts store. This was a grocery store. This was Reeves grocery store, dry goods store. And it became a market, Wyant's Market. And then it became a lumber yard. Jimmy Anderson had a lumber yard there. And these two buildings are gone. This building's been quite modified. This is where the gymnastics are. And then over here, well, let's go over here. This was the commercial hotel. This building these were just recently demolished. There's a new building being built here, sort of, if they ever finish it. And it's a great shot of the square. And one clue here is right here. You notice the cars are parked head-in on West Main Street. That was changed in 1952. So this photograph predates 1952 because the cars are still headed in here, all the way up here and all the way down here. Because after that, they parallel parked. And over here is Compton's Lumberyard. And you can see how empty St. John Street is. This was the original St. John's Church, which later became a movie theater, and then the town garage was there. But over here is the Sarah Lumber Yard, and this was the building that they replaced after the fire of 1909. And there's the Sarah Lumber Yard, and let's take a look here. And this is, I think it's Amori's restaurant. This was the ruins of it. You can see that there was a cemetery, some gravestone business here. That's what these stones are. And this is the Presbyterian Church in the background with Slate Hill in the back, which was open fields. And this building was the Van Vliet building, which was they were a furniture maker and undertaker in the building that was on the square. And these are people like standing around looking at the ruins. And you can just see the top of the St. Elmo in the back right there. There was, this is looking the other way. This is looking up West Main Street. This is Amori's restaurant. This was the Olivet Chapel, which is now St. John's AUMP Church, which was destroyed in the fire. I think it was built around 1903 and then destroyed in 1909. The fire jumped across the street. And then these are men standing on the ruins, and this is the Miller Cart and Wagon Company behind it here, this building. But I love how they're all. This predates denim, because no one is wearing jeans in this picture, and they all had bowler hats on, which were obviously very popular. And then this is after the fact. This I think this was Oliver Hardy came to Goshen. But what's interesting about this, and this was the O'Connor Glassworks building, which became Sorosky's garage. This was the Miller Cart Company building, and this is a water cannon. which is a great shot of the water cannon. This was probably high tech for 1909, and the water was shot out of that. Goshen suffered about 5 major fires in the early 20th century. This was the first of them, the Sarah Lumber Yard in 1909. The Pines House next to Maplewood, the Village Hall, in 1916. What else? Let me check my notes here. The St. Elmo was 1920, and then this Miller Cart Company burnt down in 1939, and they were all completely burnt. None of them were salvageable. This is the John and Mary Eckert house. This house was on West Main Street, up across from G&T Auto Parts, the old Grand Union building. It was next door to Space's Empire Tire business, and you can see the building here. This is this building also, the tire business also had a fire. This is the original building here. This house was originally on Greenwich or Greenwich Avenue, if you prefer, and John Eckert moved it over to West Main Street and raised 6 children in this little house. The original house didn't have this porch on it, and John Eckert was married to Mary, and he was a member of the 124th Regiment of the Orange Blossoms, and he was stationed at Camp Wickham over on Main Street here, and his wife tried to go see him and was shot by a guard while she was pregnant, but she recovered, and it wasn't fatal. And this house was after the tire. Oops, sorry. This is the new building after the fire, which is still there, and I'm not sure what the building is used for now. If anybody knows, I don't know what's.
The shoe guy.
It's still the shoe thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, it's been that for years then.
I think that's closed now.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody here.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. And this is the building today, and the house was right here. And it had a big, huge chestnut tree in the front yard, and the kids would come and scoop up all the chestnuts and throw them at each other, and whatever we did with chestnuts. But that's what it looked like today, but that was what was there before. And but it's amazing how he moved the house all the way over there. The house, I forgot to say, the house was originally on the property, the brick house that's across from the old hospital. It's, I believe it's Esposito's Associates is in there. That house was on part of the lawn there. And it was a toll booth. That was a toll, Florida Road was a toll road. So you had to pay to get into the village of Goshen. Or get out, I don't know. And then this is McBride Trucking. This was on West Main Street. And you can see in the background here, the top of the, this was St. John, the AUMP Church, St. John's right here. You can see the bell tower. And then these were two double houses, and there was also 2 double houses over here. This was on the corner of William Street and West Main Street. And Frank McBride started this trucking business around 1924, 1925, delivering milk to New York City. And he expanded. It was one of the largest employers in the village of Goshen for years. And this is what it looked like today. This is the car wash right here, and the apartments down here. This is where the church was, down here. And this house in the distance is still there. And this is the church. This is St. John's AUMP Church, and this was their parish hall here. And it was built around 1876, I think, the 1870s, I believe. And it was demolished with the expansion of McBride Trucking. It's a shame they didn't try and move the building somehow. But this is the Sayre Street School. If you're on Facebook, this was on Facebook, still on Facebook, on the Goshen site. This is from 1904. This was known as the Colored School by the students. Supposedly John Bruin, who was a African-American columnist for the Independent Republican, said that the locals called it the Black Academy, but the students called it the colored school. The building's still there, and the present owner wants to demolish it and build another house. You can see how close it is to the neighboring house right here. This is the house, the school in 2022. And then this is it today. And this was started out as a renovation project, and it's turned into a possible demolition. And then this is a picture. The house next door is still there. This is a picture of the student body, and it's quite. I tried to count numerous times how many students there were. There's almost 40 students here. How they ever fit into that building? It's amazing. I believe this is a teacher, and I believe this woman over here is a teacher. The first teacher was Anna Reagan, but I think this photo came long after. The school was in operation from 1858 to 1933. It was owned by, the building was owned by Martha Wisner, who was granddaughter of Henry Wisner, and she left money for the continuation of the school. She left it to the board of the school to keep the school in operation. The students only went here until the 4th grade, and then they went to public schools when the public schools became active around 1912 or so. And then moving down to the square, this is the Goshen Savings Bank, now the Berkshire Bank, right on the square, which is still there today. These are the houses that were on the site, and what we're going to talk about is this was the Sutherland Garage, which actually became the first bus garage Goshen had for the school buses, but it was run as an automobile garage. And all these were demolished to make way for the bank in the late 60s. There's a picture of the Sutherland's garage. Someone gave me this photo last year, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who gave it to me, but I don't know where they acquired it, but it's a great shot of the garage. And over you can see the townhouses here to the right, and then over here is what became the Goshen Theater, which we're going to move to. This is the house that was next to the Goshen Theater, which the bank also demolished. The Uber family, H-U-B-E-R, I'm not sure how they pronounce that, owned this house. The house was there from the 1870s, and the bank demolished it, and there's the site, which they never did anything with that lot. There's the drive-through that's still there today. This was the site of the movie theater, and before the movie theater was there was the Eagle Hotel. This was a private house that became a hotel right on the park. You can see the gas pumps from the Sutherland Garage, which is right here. And up here, if you can look very faintly, you can see where it said Eagle Hotel right here on the side of the building. And this was demolished to make way for the Goshen Theater in 1939. This photo was taken in 1982. And you can see the brick house that was next door, how close it was right here. And this is where the drive-through is. This was built by the Nyholt brothers. This is the lobby. This was a phone booth actually back here.
Where are the benches?
They used to have benches, and they used to have a big, there was a big box, a big trunk here, and all the kids used to sit on top of the trunk. And they used to have chairs in front of the wicker chairs in front of the fireplace where Mr. Wally Nyholt used to sit. And the entrances were over here on your right. This was the exit out the back. And I don't know if any of these chandeliers, I don't know what was ever saved from the demolition of this. This was the interior, which was quite modern for the time. It had air conditioning, and they renovated it and put more space between the chairs, and then it had a rather sad ending, and was eventually demolished by the bank. And there's the cupola that I showed you in the other photo, Presbyterian Church in the back. This is the aerial shot. This is from here. This house here is still standing. From here all the way down to the square and all the way here. This was the old Goshen Buick building. There was a barn here that is not in this photograph. This is the movie theater. This is Sutherland's garage. This is what became the Independent Republican building. Had a billiard parlor upstairs. These were all storefronts, grocery stores. All those grocery stores that we mentioned before were along this strip here. And these were houses. This was this one was a Jack and Shane's grocery store, really old grocery store. And this is a great shot of the square before the traffic lights were up. And this is actually over here, John Bruin's house. This is where John Bruin lived. This is a law office here. This is that brick house that's still standing. This is the Railroad House Hotel Bar, which is still standing. Yes.
The big building next to the left of Donovan's law office, that's still sitting there. What was that?
The big building.
Looks like a barn.
Here?
Just go down to the law office.
Down.
Oh, over here. Oh, yeah, this is a barn.
What was that? What was it?
Pardon? At one time, it was probably stables. You know, everyone had horses. So, and there were a lot of, almost on every corner along here, there were hotels. And if they were close to a stable, and if they had a restaurant, they thrived. Like the commercial hotel I showed you, I pointed out in the other photo, that place thrived because it had a restaurant, it had a blacksmith across the street, and it had a wagon, it had Donovan and, what was the other guy's name? Carriage shop across the street. So people gravitated to those areas. And this, I assume this was a stable for the Railroad House Hotel here.
Thank you.
And there was one here. As a kid, I remember a barn being here, and you can probably see the outline of it right there, but it did not survive. This is McEwen's house over here on the park. It's still there. And this is the Everett Memorial in the park, which was put in 1917. All right. This is Dr. Dennis, which someone posted asking who Dr. Dennis was. I didn't know. But this was a stepping stone that's outside of Donovan's funeral home, and it's on St. James Place. And when I was rummaging through my photographs, I came across this sign, which is the an original New York State historic marker that's on Railroad Avenue across from the police station, where the first Goshen hospital was. The Goshen Emergency Hospital was established in 1908. Susan Randall Bacon was instrumental in getting that. Oh, there's her name's on the sign. There it is. And lo and behold, there's Dr. Dennis. So he was here in the village practicing around 1908 and was one of the first doctors at the emergency hospital. The emergency hospital was 4 rooms. I believe it's in the building. I think it's the ice store. Yeah, ice. What do you call it? It's not ice cream. It's Italian ices.
Ice house.
I think it's in there. Upstairs.
And
Yes.
quick question, you referred to that previous slide as a stepping stone. You mean as in getting up into a carriage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This was a stepping stone. And on Facebook, people were saying it was a gravestone and it's not a gravestone. And this was where you could put your feet in 1 foot in closer to stand up on top of the stone. Because the wagon would come along and you would step on this and then from there step down to the ground. And how Donovan's wound up with it, there's a story there, but I don't know. According to what I read, it was in their garage there, I guess, and they decided to put it out on the street. And I don't know where Dr. Dennis lived or practiced. I haven't come across anything about him. And then this is the Orange Blossom Monument, 1907. This was the 1964 Bicentennial Parade, marching down Main Street. This was taken from the old county building at the corner of Park Place. It's over here, and this is Main Street down here. And here's a detail. This is unusual. Somebody climbed up and took a picture of it. This statue was sculpted by Theo Alice Ruggles Kitson, right here. And in 1907 it was installed. Her husband was also a sculptor. And this is them bringing the base of the sculpture, the statue, through the square. It was delivered on the railroad. And this is how they moved it. And of course everyone, I think, realized they were having a picture taken. This was that store I mentioned before that was the old country store. This was Jack McShane's store, Doremus's before that. This was all demolished for the bank. And this is the base. But this is how they used to move houses around the village too. They would, a team of donkeys would, and they would put them on rollers. Like, see how the rollers are in here? And then this is the parade they had. This is this building is Craft 47 today. This is the Market Street. This is West Main Street. This was Howell's. And if you look really close, these are the veterans. And a lot of them are carrying guns. There's a gun. When you blow it up, you can really see that oh, there's a gun right there. They're all carrying guns. These are veterans of the Civil War. 124th. And then this is the unveiling. And what's really interesting about this was that, did someone say something? This was a Thursday. They had the unveiling on September 5th, 1907. This was a Thursday, and they got this crowd. And I just love it because whoever, and I said this before, whoever was in the hat business must have been very wealthy. And then this is the same, this is looking down Main Street. This is the old county building here. And this is the monument. And this is looking west.
Ed,
Yes.
why September 5th? Does that mean something? The date?
Let me check my note.
Yeah, you said it was a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, yes. I don't know. They did a lot of things. I don't have anything down why it was a Thursday. But that's what they picked, Thursday, September 5th, 1907. Maybe nobody worked, I don't know.
Was it on Labor Day?
Maybe the end of the 124th or something?
I don't know the significance of it. I'm sorry. There's a homework assignment for you. And here's two young Goshen guys. This is the original Battle of Minnesink monument that is now out front of the library. This was the old circuit court building on Main Street. which is still there now. I think it's the Orange County Tourism Office. This is the 1841 courthouse in the back. And I don't know who these young guys are. I think it's a great picture, though. I wish I knew who they were. And I also love, look at the lawn. And this was the original, this monument was from 1822, I believe. Yes?
I have an answer about the September 5th question.
Sure.
On September, that was the anniversary of the 124th being mustered, September 5th, 1862.
Okay, there was a reason all those people came out. Thank you. Thank goodness for Google. And then this is the second Battle of Innocent monument. And what's unusual with this photograph is that it's facing up Main Street. Usually all the photos, when it's taken, it's facing down. So I guess you could say this is the back of the monument. This is the Methodist church over here. Fence is in great shape here. And this was installed in 1863, I believe. This is a stereoscopic photo of Main Street. This is the 1841 courthouse, designed by Thornton Niven. Look at all the trees. All the trees were planted around 1880. They went through the whole village and all planted all of them all at once. Consequently, they've all died off. Now you can't plant trees along here because of all the things underground that the roots would get involved in, so there's no trees here. But Main Street was still a dirt road. This was the Westcott House on the site of the Methodist Church. It was there from 1754 to 1883-ish. It's very similar to the St. James Rectory on South Church Street. And it had a very typical Goshen fence. This fence was very popular. It was the same kind of fence was in front of the village hall. And then whoever built it did quite well building fences. The Methodist Church was right about here. This house was very popular. This is where they had the meeting to decide the boundaries between New Jersey and New York, met here. And it became just a place for politicians to hang out. And the original cemetery, Presbyterian cemetery, was about over here, right in front of the church, where the church is, behind the Presbyterian church. And that cemetery was supposedly moved up to Slate Hill Cemetery, which I kind of have my doubts they got all the bodies out. They might have moved the headstones, but I kind of doubt they moved everything. And then this is the site, this is the church. So supposedly that house had a great well, and so people coming into the village would stop there for water. And this is the 1841 courthouse, the old jail in the back, the Orange Blossoms Monument. The original Methodist church was on North Church Street, and then they moved over here and built this structure. What's interesting about the churches in the village is all of them were built before electricity. And when you look at the Presbyterian church, you look at St. James Church, you look at this church, they did it all by hand. It's really, I think it's quite amazing. This is Jerry Scott, who's on the cover of the Goshen Revisited book. And he was a Goshen guy. This is Memorial Day in Slate Hill Cemetery in the Veterans section. This is the cannon that was there for years that got sold off. Now there's sort of a remnant of it there. A great picture of the dress at the time. And this was done after the dedication of the Everett Memorial in the park. They moved up to the cemetery, and he is reciting the Gettysburg Address. And he lived in, let's see. He was born in 1863 and he died in 1939. He was a policeman for a while, and he also ran a carriage and wagon shop on Webster Avenue. And I believe this is him right there. And this was basically your car dealership in the 1800s. And then this is it in 1921. You can see how the building is sort of declined, I guess. This is the Wyant Blacksmith Shop and the Van Leuven Public Plumbing Company with the Victorian House on the corner. This was all torn down for what became the Orange County Social Services, which is now the Board of Elections building. It's been revamped. This is Court Lane here. This is Webster Avenue here. This house is still there. This is the old Board of Elections building here in the back. And this, James Scott's father, was across the street. And it's amazing how many people they employed. How many? 9 people here. This might be him. This might be James Sr. right here. And they lived on Murray Avenue. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 employees. This is the 1841 courthouse. This is the fire tower. This building was here in the 1960s. I remember walking by it when I was a kid. It was all closed up. It wasn't. No one ever used it, and then it eventually got demolished. And of course, Webster Avenue is a dirt road. This is Maplewood, just before the village purchased it. This was the Murray homestead. It was the National Bank of Orange County, and then the Murrays bought it around 1852. This was taken just before the village bought it. It was in rough shape. There was plans to demolish it, and then some local citizens stepped in and they made it a village hall, and it's been serving the village since 1976 as the village hall. And this is the living room, probably from the 1930s. This is the meeting room of Maplewood, where there's a rostrum up here on the podium, up here at the end. Great shot of the fireplace. And then this is the mayor's office when it was the library. And I got this photo from Bonnie Murray, who lives in California. She mailed it to me. And quite an elaborate library. The mayor's desk is right here. And then this is the Inner Pines. This was built by George Wickham, the original building. And he lived across the street in the Pines and then built this building. And then Robert Riddell in 1865 bought it and turned it into this Victorian structure. He added all this ornament and the porches. And in 1885, I want to say, or so, Dr. Fred Seward bought it and turned it into a sanitarium for nervous disorders. Probably a lot caused by alcohol from all the bars in town. And this is the view from Main Street, looking up at the house. And this was demolished to make way for the Orange County Government Center in the 1960s. And it was replaced by this, the Paul Rudolph Building, which today it doesn't even really look like this. These are all gone. These walkways, these were arches that you walked this is actually the front of the building. The parking lot is back here. You actually we always walked into the back of the building instead of the front of the building, which was kind of not a great setup, I didn't think. But anyway, it's been modified. There's two new additions to it. So we have we ended up with 3 different building styles.
Yeah.
This is an advertisement for the Grand Circuit and the Hamiltonian. This was done by Mr. Dickey. He was an illustrator who was very, lived in Goshen for a while and was very, he was a cartoonist really. And this is a poster he did. This is from 1931, which made Goshen a vacation destination. And once people got cars, and especially in the early 1920s, when they could drive to Goshen for the day, that's when things really took off. The Hamiltonian started in 1936 and ran to 1956. And this is the track, and I included this because it always seems everyone talks about this tree, which is still there. These were the stables. This is this was the Erie Railroad ran along right here, which is now the Heritage Trail. This was the grandstands. These are all cars on Hamiltonian Day, all over here. It's amazing how the village accommodated the crowds like this. This is Finance Pond over here, which is still there.
Do you know if they, after this closed down, would they ever do cars?
We're getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. And it looked from the air. If you go on Google Maps and look on the air, oops, sorry. If you go on Google Maps, you can still see this ditch that ran through the track. The big design flaw of the track. This was designed by Joe Coates, who built cars, and he also owned the Miller Car Company that we saw earlier. Is it faced west? So everyone sat in the sunshine watching the races, and it became a problem. So they always were adding these awnings over the grandstands to keep people in the shade. Why it wasn't placed differently, I don't know, but that's what they did. And there's the tree. That tree is still there today. It's the only thing that survived. Green Street's over here. Greenwich Avenue, Greenwich Avenue is over here. And here's the cars. These are sprint cars, which they only did this about 3 or 4 times. I have a feeling noise was probably the issue. But I think it was to utilize the track in the non-racing season. This was probably, they did it in 1936, which I'll show you a picture. I have a feeling this is a little later, just because of the way the people are dressed. This might be from like the late 40s, early 50s, I think this one is.
And they don't all have hats on.
They all don't have hats. The hat makers went broke. And then this, I included this because this banner, which they used to hang across the square, is advertising the sprint car races. This is the A&P, which came to Goshen in 1921, which is now the pharmacy. It became Strong's Pharmacy in 1952. They were further up Main Street and moved down to this building. This was the Grand Union. This was Lobdell's ice cream parlor. And here's the cigar store, was still over here. And you can just see the end of the gate tower, the railroad tower right here. And the little traffic sign right here, which is the base of the flagpole at Maplewood. These are the old cottonwood trees that were around the square. And this was the go-kart races they used to have on Grand Street. And they started in the 1950s and went well into the 60s, because I remember them. And each car was sponsored by a local business. This was the Independent Republican car. This is Vic Bromley, who had a garage. He lived on the corner of Craigville Road and Main Street. This is Mike Marino. Mike Marino used to give the driver's tests. So everybody got to meet Mike Marino at least once if they got a driver's license. And this is Wickham Avenue here. These houses, this is the brick house that's at the top of Wickham Avenue. These houses are still there. And they would start on this platform to get a little quick start, and they would go all the way down Grand Street. And these are the cars stored in, this was Coleman's Garage. This is the tool place that's next to Quick Stop there on North Church Street. This was, it's still there. And this was Bromley's Garage across the street, which is now Kelly Jean's Restaurant. Over here, you can see the gas pump. And here's the, this is a Lions Club car. This is Bob Walsh. He sand and gravel. Bob Walsh did there was a go-kart track on Scotchtown Avenue and an ice skating pond, and he was responsible for having those two things there. I used to ice skate there all winter, and I always wanted a go-kart. Didn't get one, but the track was there. And then this is Parkway Farm. This house is this house has been basically demolished, and the foundation and the chimney have been added onto, and there's a new house being built there. This was attached to a historic track way back when. The land that historic track is on belonged to this farm. And here's the barn over here. This is Parkway. And there's Parkway. This is the barn. This is Slate Hill in the back. And then this is the cupola. And during World War II, people would go up there and look for airplanes. I don't think they really expected planes to fly from Germany and Japan over and come to Goshen, but it gave the local population a sense that they were participating in helping the war effort. And there's people in the cupola looking out for German bombers flying over Goshen. And then this is the oldest known, I believe, the oldest known picture of historic track. This is from the 1850s. This was July 4th. This is Orange Avenue's over here. This is the original grandstand that survived, I believe, until 1911, when Mrs. Harriman had new grandstands and new judges' stands built. This is the back. This is the Goshen Inn Delancey parking lot right here. They built a barn here, which didn't survive, and that was later demolished. People don't realize how popular harness racing really was. It was a real industry in Orange County. Yeah, there was no television or computers. And these are people decked out going to the track. This is Main Street. This is Lawyers Row over here. Look at the trees. And trees provided shade. This is pre-air conditioning, so it cooled it off. But when they dressed like this, they still must have been hot. I have a date on this picture. This was a postcard, I believe, that somebody scribbled on over here. This needs a little Photoshop work. And then this was the St. John's Church fire. This was 1918. It really destroyed the church. They did rebuild it. This is the sacristy in the church. This is the construction of the Hooker building. Not a great shot, but I wanted to show it because of the background. This is Scotchtown Avenue over here. This is McNally Street, somewhere here, right up here. And this is the initial construction when it just started. I haven't quite figured out where this house is. I think this is Murray Avenue over here somewhere. It just doesn't seem to jive with what's there today. This is the construction of the school. This is the auditorium side right here with the columns. And this is, to your right here is the gymnasium. This was built in 1939. This was a war project, project during the Depression, the end of the Depression actually. These are guys working. Look at all the people that were employed building the school. This was up on the roof, building the peak. Originally, the gym and the auditorium were both supposed to have peaks, but they were in cupolas. But that was a budget cut, so they wound up with flat roofs.
Ed, the whole bond was, I think, $600,000.
Yeah, I think it was a little more than that. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was, don't hold me to the number, but it was considerable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, under $1 million. Definitely.
Yes.
And then this is the class of 1939. This is 85 years ago. And they graduated 85 years ago. And this is the generation that really was involved in World War II. And some of them, I don't know everybody. This was Tommy Lane. This was my father. He had red hair. This is Dave Hardy. This is Bob Farnham over here. Who else is here? This is Marion Shisa, Marion Smith Shisa. This is Gene Stuckey. I don't know if you know her. This was Anna Keyes. These were excuse me, I'm blanking on their names. Goodness gracious, sorry.
Sisters?
How come there's only one African American?
That's a good question. And what's
Where did the rest
interesting,
of them go?
what's interesting was supposedly the students from the colored school went to Central School, but when you look at the pictures, there's no African American students in the picture. I have no idea.
But
I don't
at
know.
that time, most of the people dropped out by 8th grade.
That could
This is
be.
the graduating class this year, probably the crowd over.
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Ed?
Okay. Yes.
The lady in the first row with checkered jacket on is a Markowitz.
Yes, I just spotted their name. And this is David Markovitz here on the end, right here. This is her brother. And this is her. Thank you. That was the name I was trying to think of. I couldn't remember their name. And, over here, this is Ray Schwartz, Peter Schwartz's father. Oh, and this is Marge Sheff, Marge Gross. She lived up on Crescent Drive. And a couple of them I know, but right now I can't, off the top of my head, remember their names. These are Main Street school teachers. And I don't know all of them. And I believe that the original photograph that I have does have their names on it, but I couldn't put my hands that quickly on the photograph. But to go down the list, I think this is Mrs. Alcall. This was Mrs. McMahon. This is Mrs. Koreski. I think we have
That's my grandma.
a grandson in the audience here. And she was my first grade teacher. And this is Miss Fitzgerald. Yes. This is Marge Rowley. I think it was Miss Rowley. And this is, I think this is a little dog. I was trying to figure out what this is. Does anyone know where this is? Anyone take a guess? We're getting to the end here. This is Scotchtown Avenue. Over here on the left is the Springs Glen development, and on your right here is the Scotchtown Avenue School. And my grandparents' farm was down here, further down there. This was a photograph my uncle took, and this was 1939. That's what Scotchtown Avenue looked like.
What was the subject of your line of speaking?
My uncle was a camera buff. He
Oh.
took pictures of everything. A lot of the Goshen photos I have were from him. Yeah, he took pictures of everything, and he developed his own pictures. There was a closet upstairs in the house, and he turned it into a dark room. And I have all his negatives, boxes of them, and to go through them is quite tedious. And this is the new addition. This is my dog, Cooper Connor. And he's a rescue. He's a Cocker Spaniel. I got him when he was 3 months old. He's now 11 months old. And he sleeps with me. And then this is the cover of the proposed journal from the History Committee, titled The History Journal, that we're working on, and hopefully we'll have out by the end of the year. And if you have any questions, you can talk to Don and Jim, and there's some contact information. And if there's any questions about anything, can we turn up the lights again?
Could I ask, what was the year of that graduating class?
1939. And they were the last class out of the Main Street School. And after that, graduations came out of the Hooker building, Hooker High. Yes, sir.
Who Hooker was, which person was the name for?
Charles Hooker, yes. Charles J. Hooker. He was the principal for years.
Was he like a local figure, or
A local.
why they named the building after him?
Yeah.
Just because he was the principal?
Yeah.
Wow.
I always wanted a jacket that said Hooker High on it. But yes, ma'am.
The backstory on the classes, Goshen was well known for farming, and a lot of the students did not make it all the way through high school because they were needed on the farm. My uncle was told no, he could not go to high school. So he was working on the farm, and there were tremendous amount of farms around the area.
Sure, yeah, there were a lot of
And
fun.
I think that's one of the reasons why there are so few people in the graduating class.
I'm sure that 1939 class was considered large.
Yeah, and my father had to stop at 8th grade too.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Ed, and thank you, as he said, to everyone for joining us this morning. Hope you enjoyed it.
And if anybody has questions, just come on up and let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is only on the shoulder of the master. This is I want to go this in summer. I want to see the
Still there.
you? Good, good. How are you doing?
Donna was the one who told me to find Donna and find out what Great, thank you. There she is. Here's Donna. Right there.